Thank you very much. Let me start by acknowledging the program director, Ms. George Joseph. I'm not sure if the Premier of Gauteng has arrived, but I'm told he was here yesterday. He may not be coming today. I'm also told the Minister of Transport to rush to Namibia for some urgent business. A very good morning to Deputy Minister Mangu. Also, let me take this opportunity to recognize the President of NAMSA, Mr. Bilitom, and members of the board and all your colleagues, NAMSA CEO, Mike Mabasa, and the Advisory Council, partners who have made this event possible. We also recognize you this morning, officials from the Presidency and government who are here with us, and various government agencies, members of the media, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. First, let me take this opportunity to thank you, NAMSA, for inviting me to form part of South Africa Auto Week, which brings together industry leaders to discuss and find solutions to some of our country's pressing challenges, and also to unpack how we can put brakes on the bottlenecks to expanding local manufacturing while producing more green cars for the future. In the light of this, I believe that reimagining the future together, driving an industry of the future today, is an appropriate theme for this year's event, as it encourages introspection and captures the spirit of shared aspiration to mold a brighter future together. As government, we value innovation. We value collaboration because we believe they can move the sector forward and pave the path for a more sustainable and technologically advanced future. For the past decades, the automotive industry has been fundamental to South Africa's economy. South Africa has developed and maintained a world-class automotive manufacturing value chain through ongoing government policy support and constructive collaboration with all industry role players. A key feature of the South African automotive industry is the way government, along with all industry role players, constructively cooperate to optimize the contribution of the industry to the country's economy. One of the attractions of South Africa's automotive policy regime has been a long-term vision and consistency. Since 1995, when the Motor Industry Development Program, MIDP, the Automotive Production Development Program, APDP, and the APDP2 were introduced, the automotive industry experienced unprecedented growth and exports, and also investment capital. The performance of the South African automotive industry is contingent upon a strategic collaboration between the sector and government in order to foster the growth and advancement of the industry. But particularly in the realm of manufacturing. Therefore, the growth of the manufacturing sector must be sustained as it serves as a foundation for both social and economic development. I was saying to President Paul there when we were meeting this morning that he was indicating that we're currently about 1% of the global market in this sector, and we need to grow. And he was saying to me that, Australia made a big mistake because they changed their policy and never and removed the subsidies that they were making at the time. So I then said to him, in fact, we nearly went that route as South Africa. Around 2004-5, when I was the MEC for Finance in Gauteng, national government was in fact discussing removing incentives for the automotive sector. And BMW, based in Gauteng, of course, to us, the CEO then said, it's going to be difficult for us to continue. And he was summoned to Germany because the head office was meeting to take a decision that BMW will disinvest in South Africa. They'll go elsewhere where they'll get incentives. So it was a very difficult challenge, particularly for Gauteng, because the automotive sector is big here, as we have heard in Gauteng and the Eastern Cape. So the premier of the time, President Mashatile, said to me, look, I think you should go to Germany and try and persuade them not to leave. So I said, okay, that's fine, but what do I give them? And he says, look, go promise them that we will relook at this matter. So I said, no, that's not enough. These people, they are going to take a decision today. So I said, what we should do, what should we do? So I said to him, you phone President Mbeki and convince him that we're going the wrong way. Because if you do so, then I'll be more empowered to engage with BMW in general. But anyway, I left and I kept calling him on the way. Have you spoken to the president? And at some point, I got the good news that I spoke to the president. They are going to relook at this matter, probably to ensure that the policy stays. BMW, and today, 50 years later, they are still here. So I think it's important, Program Director, for us to emphasize that it is a correct policy, as the Deputy Minister was saying. It is a correct policy for us to be able to give incentive to the automotive sector to be able to continue to produce vehicles here in South Africa. I've said already that the performance of the South African automotive industry is contingent on a strategic collaboration between the sector and government in order to foster growth, create employment as they advance industry, particularly in the realm of manufacturing. As a result of its connection throughout the economy, manufacturing multiplier effects are higher than in most of the other sectors. As government, we understand the importance of a thriving automotive industry in terms of being a large-scale employer, the largest manufacturing sector in the country's economy, and a very successful exporter. President Tom was telling me earlier, said to me, you must convey to the president that we contribute 5% of GDP. So you must remember that. So indeed, I think it's a very important sector. The automotive industry is not only the largest manufacturing sector in the South African economy, but it also represents approximately 460,000 highly skilled direct jobs in the formal supply chain and annually in billions of rands. In addition, more than 1.4 million South Africans are employed by the formal automotive value chain. Ladies and gentlemen, although the domestic new vehicle market in 2022 was still on its recovery from the pre-COVID-19 levels, the industry actually excelled on the export side with several records. South African vehicle and automotive component exports reached a record 227.3 billion rand in 2022, representing 12.4% of total exports, with vehicle exports reaching 157 billion rand and automotive component exports reaching 70.3 billion rand. South African total automotive trade under the APDP2, including exports and imports, amounted to 435 billion rands in 2022 and comprised a significant 16.5% of South Africa's total trade GDP. In today's rapidly evolving global economy, it is imperative that we take a moment to deeply contemplate and appreciate the immense potential that lies in the harmonious convergence of effective industrial policy and the influx of foreign direct investments. Investment by the 7 original equipment manufacturers, OEMs, with technology embodied in the investment and promoting domestic addition, amounted to 7.1 billion rands in 2022, whilst the component sector received investments of 4.5 billion rands. Around the beginning of July, I was in Roslyn. I was invited by BMW, and they announced at that time that BMW will be investing an additional 4.2 billion rands to manufacture a plug-in hybrid version of the next generation of their iconic X3 SUV for 2024. BMW team further informed me that the Roslyn plant will make both petrol and diesel-powered X3s, and it will be the only BMW plant in the world that makes the hybrid. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very important step for the country, and we must continue creating favorable conditions to attract more investments and opportunities such as this in our country. I know also when I was there, BMW informed me that they are also training young people in South Africa. I think in their training center in Pretoria, in mainland, they are training about 2,000 people who will be deployed in some of these factories to manufacture cars, which I think is good news. In September, another major international brand, Stellantis, South Africa, announced that it will also invest 3 billion rand to develop state-of-the-art new vehicle manufacturing facility in the Eastern Cape province to be located at Kuga. We welcome them. Ladies and gentlemen, these announcements are encouraging. They show a lot of faith in our economy, despite the difficulties we have been facing, particularly since COVID-19. Those who have invested in South Africa over the years have our gratitude, and we assure prospective investors that the country is open for business, and that as government we will do everything in our power to safeguard and improve the value of your assets for the foreseeable future. As I have mentioned, South Africa's industrialized economy recovered faster than expected from COVID-19 pandemic. However, we recognize that there are uneven levels of recovery across sectors. So we are determined to provide as needed support across sectors towards a thriving economy. I think most of you would have heard from the Minister of Finance that the economy is growing once again, albeit the small pace. I think in the first quarter about 0.4%, second quarter 0.6%. We actually need much higher growth to be able to deal with the challenges we face, particularly high levels of unemployment amongst young people. But it's good that we're not regressing. There is growth, but we need much higher growth. Ladies and gentlemen, to facilitate a fair and equitable transition, it is imperative to localize and broaden the scope of domestic value addition and components for the new energy vehicles. In my opinion, it would be unjust for the automotive manufacturing transition to occur without current employment, but also increasing employment. The dynamics of the South African automotive sector have also changed owing to the consequent global supply chains disruptions, as well as the transition to new energy vehicles. The global automotive industry at present is at important crossroads. OEMs need to accelerate their development of the new energy vehicle business while simultaneously running the legacy of the internal combustion engine vehicle business. This is because of the eminent demand for friendly vehicles in traditional markets, which means that the transition to new energy vehicles is inevitable for the export-oriented domestic automotive industry, and it will need to commence with making significant investments in innovation and new energy technology. So we can't avoid this. To achieve this business model duality, OEMs as well as their component suppliers will need to make dramatic changes and fundamentally reshape their businesses, reshape their business models, configuration, capabilities, but also corporate culture. Therefore, as government and private sector, we must invest more in the skills needed, such as technical skills, expertise in the Internet of Things, machine performance, data, drive automation, insight and intelligence, etc. At a practical level, if South Africa is to take advantage of the current shifts in the world economy, structural reforms, especially in the energy sector, as well as in infrastructure, this is likely to improve the economic productivity, the productive capacity, and international competitiveness. Program directors, I conclude, I believe the auto industry will change more in the next 10 years than it has done in the last 100 years. This rapid change gives us the opportunity to make cars that are more capable, more sustainable, and more exciting than ever before. Together, as government and the industry, we should consider how to create practical, mutually beneficial, and executable plans that will drive the electromobility revolution that is conducive to the expansion of our own economy. We must create new jobs that are cutting edge and provide exciting employment opportunities, particularly for young people. This month, I had an opportunity to address events twice of young people, and they are very determined to be part of driving economic growth. I mean, some of them, the young people we met yesterday, are very innovative, coming with products that they create themselves through a project by Harambe. They have already benefited more than 1 million young people who have gotten on their platform to seek for job opportunities, and government is working with them to support that program. I attended yesterday with the Minister of Labor because he's already working with them. The Education Department is also on board. So I think it's important that we must support particularly initiatives that are skilling young people. Program director, we should think about how we use legal instruments such as the recently approved African Free Trade Area Agreement that gives us access to more than 1.2 billion people in the continent, where we can export raw materials, produce vehicle components, where we can sell and even transfer new technologies which are invented locally by our own young people, young researchers from all over our townships. We need to lead conversations and create a conducive legislative policy framework that will enable our country, South Africa, to develop and manufacture cars that don't crash easily or pollute, but that reduce congestions and keep us connected to the most important people and activities in our lives, thereby stimulating growth in our economy. All this, all these ambitions that we have are possible. We can come together and collectively define the program of our efforts towards socio-economic transformation of our country. So I'm emphasizing, Program Director, partnership that we have had with the sector for these many years. We must continue to strengthen it. Attaining a prosperous South Africa is indeed the responsibility of all of us. We must continue to strengthen its partnerships and advance towards a nation that is embedded in social compacts for the greater good. Finally, thank you once again for having invited me here with my team to share our thoughts with you. I wish you success in your deliberations for the rest of the conference and look forward to seeing some of the outcomes that you prioritize for the executions of these plans. President Tom earlier whispered something to me that there's something he discussed with the president and could not finalize it. So because you are the acting president, we can finalize it quickly once he's gone. So I guess when I leave here to that man, there's something we need to finalize. Inshallah. But we are looking forward to working with the industry. It has been a long, good journey, and it must be sustained. And I'm looking forward to engaging with them because I think it's important that the industry must bring to government, make government aware of some of the issues we should be doing to make the industry succeed. Uh, you mustn't keep quiet. It's important that government must know, are we doing enough? What else do we need to do in addition to what we are doing already? I know that when I visited BMW, they were complaining about the supply of electricity. We are attending to that now because it's important that there must be reliable energy supply in the country for this sector to survive. So those are some of the things we will talk about to ensure that we build the automotive sector to be a very successful contributor to our growth strategy. Program Director Government remains ready to be a partner with the sector for the future. We are continuing on this journey with you, and I'm convinced that we will succeed. Thank you very much. Ke a leboga. A khensa inkomo.